How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. It's Eric Erickson across the United States of America. Last day broadcasting from this 1873 built cottage in rural Louisiana. It's been fun this week visiting with my parents. Y'all, I got to tell you two things that I've been meaning to tell you and I forgot. First, I would like to thank the flight attendant on Delta Airlines on Monday night when I'm flying over to Louisiana. I get on the plane, we take off, they start doing cabin service, and the woman brings me a glass of bourbon. I haven't ordered anything. I wasn't going to order anything. It's a short flight. She brings me over a glass of bourbon, and I just kind of looked at her and thought it was a mistake, and she says, her exact words are, "Baby, I heard you say on the radio you're going to visit your parents." She's literally, that's what she says. She's as nice as she could be. Really just as nice as she could be. And then we took my parents to do their estate planning. That's the primary reason for my visit, other than Father's Day and visiting my parents, is to take them to their lawyer to really start. They have a couple hundred acres of land. It's time to sell the family farm and do the wills and planning and all that. And they talk about the healthcare power of attorney. And the lawyer asked my dad, "Do you want to be resuscitated?" And my dad says, "No, unless the nurse is attractive, and only then by mouth to mouth." Yes, my 85-year-old father still has the quick wit in the family. That's where I get my sense of humor from. So in any event, it's been a fun trip. I am ready to be back in my own bed, in my own shower, and see my own family. But it's been fun to visit with everybody. Now, I gotta bring back up this quote that I have just fallen in love with because it's so indicative of the way the progressives operate. Alvin Bragg, has decided to dismiss charges or drop charges on all of the anti-Semites who stormed into Columbia University's Hamilton Hall. They took up residence there. They threw people out. They vandalized and ransacked the place. They refused to leave. They were arrested and charged with felonies, and Alvin Bragg is dropping all the charges against the anti-Semites. In Washington, D.C., no charges will be filed against the anti-Semites who chanted "Kill the Zionists" outside the White House, threw water bottles at park rangers, and spray painted and graffitied and vandalized federal monuments. No charges will be filed against them. In fact, they claim that park rangers police attempted to seize one vandal who threw a water bottle at a park ranger, and the crowd blocked their path. The person got away. They don't know who it was. They're not going to review the film. They're not going to do anything. No charges will be filed. In California, despite all the vandalism and acts on college campuses by the anti-Semites, very few charges being filed. The president of Peru in 1933, Oscar Benavides, said, "For my friends, anything. For my enemies, the law." Many people refer to it now as "for my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law." That's what we're seeing. Alvin Bragg will charge Donald Trump for fraud for a crime for which there was no victim, but will not charge the anti-Semites for a crime where there was a victim. The president of the Brooklyn Museum is Jewish. Her home was vandalized. Pink triangles or red triangles and red handprints left all over the front of her property, on her doorstep, on her wall. Banners were hung. And the New York Times said Brooklyn Museum's home graffitied, not vandalized, not ransacked, not an act of anti-Semitism, not identified as targeting her because she was Jewish, which is the truth. They didn't want to say that. For my friends, anything. For my enemies, the law. The latest is now in fact, I've got this in the show notes. And again, if you text Eric to 33777 today, you'll be able to see this. In Huntington, West Virginia, law enforcement is searching for an F-150 pickup truck. The police are collaborating with Huntington Pride to repair damage to a rainbow flag crosswalk where someone in an F-150 ran their tires over it, willfully burning rubber to leave black tire marks. They're actively investigating this pickup truck doing burnouts, leaving tire marks on the Pride crosswalk that was installed 3 days ago. In Seattle, 3 teens were charged with defacing a Pride crosswalk because they had their electric scooters that left tread marks across the rainbow flag crosswalk. For my friends, anything. For my enemies, the law. Anti-Semitic protesters are not being charged with crimes for vandalizing and graffitiing and defacing property, but you deface the rainbow flag crosswalk, by God, they're coming for you. The Babylon Bee ran a very funny story that undoubtedly has some truth behind it and probably will be proven prophetic, where they said in order to stop the defacing of rainbow flag crosswalks, cities across America are banning vehicles. You know, the scooter companies, one of the scooter companies, I think it's Bird, is it, or something? I can't remember, has these scooters around the country, electric scooters, and you can use an app on your phone and it activates them, and there's GPS tracking so you can find a scooter. The scooter company, I kid you not, has now reported that they have routed rainbow flag crosswalks around the country as no-go zones for the scooters. So if your GPS detects that you're in the area of the rainbow crosswalk, the scooter will turn itself off so that you cannot drag the scooter across the rainbow crosswalk, just in case you might accidentally leave tire marks on a tired vehicle that is going across hot asphalt painted as a rainbow flag. For my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law. If you're Donald Trump in New York City and in 2017 you pay off Stormy Daniels, you'll be found guilty of fraudulent conduct in the previous year's election. But if you vandalize a college campus or a Jewish person's home, charges will be dismissed against you. If you deface the rainbow sidewalk, you're going to go to jail. If you spray paint "Death to the Jews" on city property, they're going to give you an award. You realize where we are. This is religious significance. You see, the Alphabet Gang has become the woke cause and the woke religion. They're all tied together in this. I mean, the secularists, they have embraced woke theology. They've embraced wokeism. The whole reason that these pride crosswalks are painted is their religious significance. It signifies the cultural zeitgeist embraced by the community. And the community is embracing pride as a religious commemoration, and they put down these sidewalks in the ways that some red states put down Ten Commandment monuments to say that's where their fidelity lies. The fidelity of these cities lie with the Alphabet Gang for Pride Month, and if you deface it, you have attacked a religious monument of religious significance. And the Taliban left, Boko Haram, will come for you for defacing their religious monuments. And it is, you need to understand this. It is religion. You may not think of it that way, but it is religion. They have their high priests, they have their sacraments, they have their liturgies, they have their symbols and their symbolism, they have their holidays. I mean, the entirety of the calendar now, 365 days a year, is rearranged in an alphabetical liturgical calendar. You have the Christians have their high holy days, the Jews have theirs, and the wokes have theirs. And the wokes are given the cultural significance in the zeitgeist right now, where we have an entire month to celebrate Pride. In fact, one of the funniest tweets I've seen lately is Joe Biden the other day released a video on social media of historic black moments in American history. Released it the other day. Significant black moments in American history, and the number of people on the left and the right, left did this, not just right, replying saying, wrong month, we're in the rainbow month now. Black History Month was February. It's actually kind of funny. But there is religious significance to it. Don't ignore that. That's what's going on here. You can deface federal monuments and spray paint on these federal monuments, kill all the Jews. And the government is not going to prosecute you. This isn't hypothetical. This literally happened this past weekend. You leave tire tracks on a rainbow flag. They use law enforcement personnel to hunt you down to prosecute you for defacing public property. And you can say, well, in fairness, it's federalism. In some jurisdictions, yes, and in some jurisdictions, no. But the recurring pattern here is in progressive jurisdictions by progressive prosecutors funded by George Soros, you can chant death to the Jews and deface public property with anti-Semitic phrases, and they're going to leave you alone. But you deface a rainbow flag, they're coming for you. It is a progressive religion at play here. And the heretics and the non-believers must be rounded up. Remember, the only difference at this point between Boko Haram and Boko Haram is Boko Haram wants to kill you. Boko Haram just wants to destroy your life. They're just as destructive. One just takes your life. The other one takes your livelihood, ruins your family, ruins your job, drives you out of a career, drives you out of the town square, starves you to death because you can't make a living anymore. You got to go be anonymous, join a witness protection program. They'll shame you for the rest of your life. That one bad thing you did 15 years ago will get you canceled by Boko Haram. And now they're laying down rainbow flags across America, daring you to walk across them. Sacrilegious to do so. You must instead behold the rainbow flag on the ground and walk around it. It is a virtue signal on pavement. They could put down, if they wanted to, dyed concrete and not have to worry about it, but instead they're painting. The funniest thing is one city released a video the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, of a worker who was painting the rainbow flag crosswalk in a city. And people noticed that there was actually no paint on the roller. He was rolling the paint across the red line, except the roller was white. And the advertisement of the video was they're painting the rainbow flag. If they were, why was there no paint on the roller? It was very funny to watch. But this is all a part of religious significance. You know, before I jump out of here, there's actually breaking news. Some of you care about this. Probably most of you don't, but some of you care about this. Kensington Palace and the Prince and Princess of Wales have released a statement saying the Princess of Wales is making good progress in her chemotherapy treatment and will return to public life for Saturday. In the personal statement, she said she was not out of the woods yet and that her course of preventative treatment would continue, adding she has good days and bad days and was learning to be patient and allowing herself time to heal. She'll join her husband, the Prince of Wales, and children for the King's birthday parade on Saturday, riding in a carriage with Prince George, Prince Charlotte, and Prince Louis before appearing with the full working family on Buckingham Palace's balcony. In a written message to the public published Friday evening, the princess said she was looking forward to the event. The king is said to be delighted, and a spokesman for the king adds, quote, His Majesty is delighted that the princess is able to attend tomorrow's events and is much looking forward to all the elements of the day. The first public appearance of the Princess of Wales since her diagnosis of cancer. That's breaking news happening right now. I'm actually kind of, and maybe I shouldn't be in a celebrity age culture, but how many Americans across the political spectrum care deeply about the story? And I don't mean to ridicule many of you or any of you, because I kind of do too, particularly with going on in my wife's life. But it is fascinating just how many Americans are so emotionally connected to this story. And it's a very big deal, big enough that major American newspapers right now are going to the breaking news that she'll make a public appearance tomorrow for the Royals, who blew a 13-colony lead. This is breaking news. It is literally just happening, and people are freaking out. 538, that website now has a Biden-Trump 50-50 chance of winning, and predicted electoral college of 269. Now, this is notable because it's the first time Trump has tied. Biden has been in the lead. The New York Times has had Trump consistently slightly ahead. 538's reliably had Biden ahead until this very moment. Now, to the phones we go. Tom, I got about a minute or so here, but wanted to get you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi there.
So, I've been on a while, so now I forgot why I called, I think. But I think I can remember. But you got me distracted with so many good topics. One was
That's all right. I know you want to talk about Democrats being a threat to democracy.
Yes, I do. But if you could, when I hang up, maybe you can address polls don't translate into votes, and that's the scary thing with all the tactics that the Democrats are up to. But faith, family, freedom, and fun. So hopefully this is a little fun. I think if I could bring Reagan back, wouldn't it be great to every time the Democrats project something that they're guilty of onto the Republicans, you could see Ronald Reagan stand up and go, "There you go again, accusing your opponents of those things which you are yourselves guilty of." We call that projection. Look in the mirror next time you say those things, because you're talking about yourselves. I would love to see that video.
You know, I wish they would too, because there's so much hypocrisy out there, and particularly in the Democrats trying so hard to undermine any institution they don't control, including the U.S. Supreme Court. And Tom, I will talk about that polling issue when we come back, because you make a really good point that needs to be really emphasized. Before I do, though, one of the things the left is doing is trying to delegitimize the Electoral College, because they don't like that right now there's a bias towards the GOP in the Electoral College. So they're trying to change the way the president is selected by tying their electoral college in their states to whoever wins the national popular vote, convinced that's going to help them. And I'm not sure it is, but it's what they're trying to do to get around the electoral college requirements. Hillsdale College wants you to go to ericforhillsdale.com today and let them know what you think about the presidential selection process. This is where you get to educate Hillsdale, see where my listeners and others around the country stand on this issue. It's Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. In addition, you'll learn a lot about Hillsdale College. They're a great education institution. Relevant, by the way. Stick around when we come back, because I want to actually talk about an outrage the left is realizing. But Hillsdale College plays a role in it. Go to ericforhillsdale.com today and take the presidential selection survey from Hillsdale College. Let them know how you stand on what we should do and how we should pick our president, and learn more about Hillsdale at ericforhillsdale.com. Y'all, it's okay. I thought this was a parody, but it's actually real. Oh my gosh! Oh, you can't make this stuff up. You know what I was saying about the secular religion of the age and the Alphabet Gang? Well, Silver Lake, California, is a city in Los Angeles, and it is a they have taken down all the no U-turn signs, because they say that they're anti-LGBTQ. So yeah, that's wild. That's really happened. Okay, we got to move on to other stuff. But I let's see here. Hang on one second. I need to let me go to a phone call real quick. Sorry, having an issue here. I want to go to Brian calling. Welcome, Brian, to the show.
Hey, Eric. I just I'm not really hearing hardly anybody talk about this. Your call screener actually said you briefly mentioned it yesterday. The whole ending of the petrodollar agreement we have with the Saudis, that they'll sell all of their oil exports in U.S. dollars and then invest all of their government surpluses in U.S. Treasury bonds. And that's just you talk all the time about how important the U.S. dollar being the world's reserve currency is for us individually in terms of things like our cost of living. And that's just a huge crack in the foundation of the U.S. dollar being the world's reserve currency. And nobody seems to be talking about it. This happened 5 days ago. It's a 50-year deal, and it just ended. Thanks, Joe Biden,
Yeah, look, so I did mention this yesterday, and I'm glad you called in because I told everybody that it's a big deal. And this, 50 years ago we did this, and now suddenly they're abandoning this agreement. And by the way, Joe Biden could have renewed it, but he treated the Saudis so poorly that the Saudis chose not to renew it under pressure from the Chinese. It directly undermines our national security and our currency. It undermines trade transactions, our treasury investments. And what people don't realize is that one of the reasons it was such a good idea was because by monitoring these transactions through the exchange of dollars, we could monitor what foreign governments were doing, and we've lost that ability now when it comes to the oil trade.
Why is nobody talking about it? That's what I don't understand. Even right-wing blogospheres, it's barely a tick. That's what I don't understand. This to me is really important, and
it is. So, because I honestly think that we have gotten so programmed in our political decisions in this country to make it all Trump v. Biden and the cultural outrages of the day, people don't understand it, and they don't pay attention to it as a result. And we should be paying attention to it, but it doesn't sound significant. And part of it, too, I think, is that on the right, there's this growing isolationist movement. And so people they don't think it's a big deal because it's not compatible with their agenda. And the result is that they're ignoring it. They either don't understand it, they don't care about it, they don't think it's a big agenda, but it directly undermines our national security, and people should. Which, again, this isn't a patting myself on the back moment, Brian, but this is why I try to cover these sorts of stories, because there are no right-wing talking points on this sort of story. No one's talking about it, but it actually is a massive story that should be covered.
Yeah. Well, I've got something I just want to suggest also as well, just as something for your wife. I know she likes to carry. It's real popular with women and people that ride motorcycles. Another thing she likes to do. It's a holster system called the Philster Enigma. PHLSTER is how it's spelled. And have her check it out. There's a lot of ladies that seem to really benefit from it.
I'm looking at fine. What's one more thing to buy for her? All right. Thanks very much, Brian. I appreciate the phone call. Fine. No, she doesn't listen to the show, so she won't know this, but I'm sure someone will rush to text her before I can get to her. All right. Now, I want to go to Tom's point before I get any more phone calls. And just bear with me. It's an open line Friday, 877-973-7425. Just bear with me here. Do not rely on the polling. And I know that many of you yell at me and text, well, I think the polling's wrong anyway. Well, if the polling told you what you wanted to hear, you'd probably believe it. The left right now is complaining about the polling because it doesn't tell them what they want to hear. And so for the first time since 2004, they're outraged. They're not leading the polling, so the polling must be wrong. I personally think the polling presents you a snapshot in time. Let's take the red wave in 2022 because it comes up the most right now on why the polling's wrong. The media polling actually got it. In 2022, it was the Trafalgar poll and other Republican polls that showed the big red wave still coming. And I did believe the Republican pollsters because I really did believe the media is trying to suppress what's happening. The media doesn't want us to know about it. The media is convinced that they've invested in the democracy talk from Joe Biden, and the media polls are wrong. The Republican pollsters are right. Actually, the media pollsters were right, and the Republican pollsters, we now know in hindsight, were probably working to skew the polling. They were probably working to overinflate the Republican wave. The reality was the New York Times poll, the Fox News poll, the CBS poll, all of those polls turned out to be right. And the result is that the media got it right, the Republicans got it wrong, and the media polling right now shows Donald Trump is leading. And so what's the reaction from the Democrats? Well, the media must be wrong this time. I doubt it. But more significantly, it's only a snapshot. And if you don't show up, your vote actually matters. The polling doesn't matter on election day. Your vote does. The polling can show us where the national propensity is, but you still got to go vote. So if you see Donald Trump has a commanding lead in the polling and you say, well, everybody else is going to go vote for him, I don't have to. Guess what? Probably everybody else is thinking that as well. And you're going to make the polling wrong. It's not the polling was wrong. It's that you saw it and said, I don't have to go do anything. He's got it in the bag. That's what's going to happen. So we can talk about the polling as in the trends more than the numbers. The numbers are wrong. The trends, if they're all headed in the same way, there's probably something there. The polling is all headed in a direction that suggests Donald Trump's doing well. But you still got to show up. You still have to make that matter. Now, back to the phones. Cheryl, you're going to be up next. Welcome.
Hey, I wanted to get your thoughts. If you were advising Trump during his next debate or with Biden, you know the number one question that's going to be asked is, do you, Mr. Trump, now concede the 2020 election? How do you think Trump should answer that?
I think you should say, look, I'm on stage with Joe Biden. Joe Biden's president right now. We're talking about 24. We're not talking about 2020. And when they say, well, you lied about the election, he says, I'm talking about the future. I'm not talking about the past today. We're talking about the future. We're not talking about the past. I got Joe Biden right here. He's president. And I would be combative with them. I think that's the only way he can do it, honestly, is to be combative and say we got to talk about the future, not the past. Joe Biden is clearly the president. He's clearly the guy flying Air Force One, not me. And do it that way. And I think he can probably get by with that. You and I both know that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are going to push him on the stolen election stuff in 2020. And they got to prep him for that. And I think the best way to prep him is to be really combative. And in that combat, say, look, Joe Biden's the guy here with Air Force One, not me. He's president. I'm talking about the future, not the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Trump lost the first debate with Biden because he wouldn't shut up and let Biden talk himself into a circle.
Yeah.
And if he could just humble himself and do what you recommend of, no, Joe, finish your thought there. Where were you going with that thought?
Yeah, let him talk. He's gonna stammer. He's gonna hem and haw. I absolutely think so.
Well, fingers crossed that he hears your answer and
I hope so.
To accept advice.
And, so Cheryl, look, I appreciate the phone call. Let me say this: I do not regularly reach out to that campaign or any campaign for that matter. They know my feelings on Donald Trump. We have a somewhat standoffish relationship, but I do have points of contact there that are direct lines of communication as best I can to the players of that campaign. And if I need to reach out to them, I will reach out to them. But I don't know that they need my armchair quarterbacking. At the same time, I do think they know. I mean, it's obvious that the very first thing that the media is going to do is push the whole idea. So I think that's where they got to head. I think it makes sense to head in that direction. Next call here, Seth. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show.
Yes, hi, Eric. So I just kind of wanted to go back to your point. You're saying, and everybody's saying, oh, the GOP is doing well in the polls. They're in really high position. Trump's doing great. But just earlier this week, there was a federal House election where the GOP didn't do so hot. They won a GOP House district that votes Republican by 30. They only won it by 10 points. And part of the reason is the Democrats are really, really good at banking votes early and turning out their voters. And they have, as you mentioned earlier, they have machines in Democrat-run swing states. And I'm not sure all of this is being taken account into the polling. So,
I'm glad you said this. For people who don't know what you're talking about, this was an Ohio special election. Donald Trump won the district 29 points in 2020. The Democrat lost by less than 10 points in a special election this week. It's Ohio's 6th congressional district. Now, this was an exceedingly low turnout. Democrats and Republicans did turn out, but you're right. Democrats went and voted early. Republicans, again, showed up on Election Day. It nearly cost them a very safe seat because they showed up on Election Day. And they've got to. Democrats were far outspent by the Republicans. Michael Rulli is the now congressman-elect. Outspent him $571,000 to $7,000. and only won it by about 10 points. And you can say, well, that's fantastic. But Trump did win it by over 20. He won it by 29.5 points in 2020. Now, I will say this. There are some caveats to this. One of the caveats, Seth, is that it is a special election and it fell way under the radar. Nobody really did aggressive get out the vote stuff. It did show that there was Democratic motivation to try to turn out. It still wasn't enough. Republicans still won it. But there are, there are people who are extrapolating, oh, the Democrats are really fired up. The thing is, though, one of the things pollsters can capture is voter enthusiasm, and they do a very good job of that, whether you think polling is right or not. If you're willing to talk to the pollster, you're enthusiastic. And Republicans seem very enthusiastic right now, willing to talk to the pollsters. That's also one reason I think, though Donald Trump has always outperformed his polling, my theory of the race this time is that they're probably not going to outperform as significantly as they have in the past, because Trump voters, at this point, they're not shy about saying they're supporting Donald Trump. They're pretty enthusiastic about saying it. There will be some independent voters, though, in bluer areas who are still too scared to say they're voting for Donald Trump. But in some very red areas, there will be some Democrats in the same boat. So we have to be careful with that. Right now, you need to know about Vision Computers, because Vision Computers wants to build your computers for you, and they want to be your service department as well. So Vision can build you a PC, and they can build what you need and want, not a one-size-fits-all computer, but then they can also be your tech support. So, for example, if your home or your office has an issue, you can call Vision and say, I don't know how to do something, or how do I do this, or what is this function, or what is this key on the keyboard? And Vision, in 15 seconds or less, they can give you the answer faster than a Google search. But now here's the thing. Let's say you didn't buy a PC from Vision. Vision can still take care of you for a very low annual fee of $179 a year. You can get an even better discount if you call them at 404-COMPUTE and mention that I sent you. Vision can be your tech support. So your home or your office, listen, those of you who are small businessmen, you need your employees to be great at the business, not at their computer. Vision can offload the tech support, so you don't even have to have an in-house IT guy. Only $179 a year per computer. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Give them a call and let them know I sent you. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. It is an open line Friday. The phone number is 877-973-7425. We're headed down to Edgewater, Florida. Okay, Eric, before you begin, so are you still on the edge of the water, or are you flooded down there like everybody else?
No, fortunately, our county, though, it's got some old issues and culverts facing the wrong way, and they're trying to fix it all because after the last bunch of rain that we had last year, it really woke a lot of people up.
Yeah, there's been a lot. By the way, I do want everybody to know, for all the hysterical talk about from the climate change people, that this is like historic rainfall. The historic single-year rain record in Florida for Pensacola happened in 1878 with 127 inches of rain. So this isn't some out-of-the-blue massive phenomenon of rain. It's rare, but it happens. It's the rainy season. So anyway, that's not why you wanted to call, but I did want to ask you about that. I hope everybody dries out down there. So what's going on?
The oceans have been higher, yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to talk about Joe Biden's latest malarkey story. He says that his middle name, Robinette, came from supposedly that he's descendants of the Sons of the Revolution. Doesn't that mean he's a descendant of insurrectionists? What do you think about that?
Yes, probably so. We don't know if it's true or not. By the way, I don't know if you've seen the video. He has rubbed his forehead against the Pope's forehead, who was clearly visibly shocked by
Weren't the founding fathers all felons?
Yes.
Just saying.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, and the way the Democrats operate, the sins of the father flow to the son. Now, I by the way, I do need to note that the oceans are higher in Florida, not because of sea level rising, but because of all the cocaine bricks that are washing ashore down there. All right, 877-973-7425. If I could plug the show notes one more time, you'll see this story in there, and this is kind of wild. Some recently manufactured Boeing and Airbus jets have components made from titanium that was sold using fake documentation verifying the material's authenticity, according to a supplier for the plane makers, raising concerns about the structural integrity of those airliners. The falsified documents are being investigated by Spirit Aerosystems, which supplies fuselages for Boeing and wings for Airbus, as well as the FAA. The investigation comes after a parts supplier found small holes in the material from corrosion. In a statement, the FAA said it was investigating the scope of the problem and trying to determine the short and long-term safety implications to planes that were made using the parts. It's unclear how many planes have parts made from the questionable material. Boeing reported a voluntary disclosure to the FAA regarding procurement of material through a distributor who may have falsified or provided incorrect records. The statement said Boeing issued a bulletin outlining ways suppliers should remain alert to the potential of falsification for records. This is not reassuring at all, which now suddenly reminds me. By the way, there's a great app. If you have an iPhone, there's an app called Flighty if you fly a lot. And now suddenly, let's see, I wish to know. Okay, oh, good. Yay. My plane was built took off the first time in 2000. It's a very loud Boeing 717. So yay, my plane's old. Oh my gosh, this is so reassuring for those of us who fly a lot. My goodness gracious. A lot of questions about the 787 Dreamliner now, in addition to Airbus A220 jets. Ooh,